In the quiet expanse of the rugged plains, Silas Hart lived alone, a loner rancher shunned by the nearby town of Dust Hollow. His days were spent tending cattle, his nights haunted by solitude. One morning, as the sun cast long shadows, he noticed his new maid, Clara, wincing as she worked. Curiosity stirred within him, a rare break from his isolated routine. Clara, a young woman with a guarded demeanor, had arrived weeks ago seeking work. Silas, though gruff, had taken her in, needing help with the sprawling ranch. That morning, as she bent to sweep the porch, her blouse shifted, revealing jagged burn marks scarring her back. Silas froze, his weathered hands tightening on his coffee mug. The sight of those marks ignited a fire in Silas's chest, a mix of anger and pity he hadn't felt in years. He'd seen scars before, battle wounds, cattle brands, but these were deliberate, cruel. "Clara," he rasped, his voice rough from disuse, "who did this to you?" She flinched, her eyes darting away, unwilling to speak. Days passed, and Silas couldn't shake the image of those burns. He watched Clara closely, noting her flinches, her reluctance to meet his gaze. Rumors swirled in town about her past, whispers of a ruthless gang that roamed the region. Silas's mind churned, piecing together a story of abuse and escape. One evening, under a sky streaked with orange, Silas confronted Clara again. "I ain't one to pry," he said, "but the marks tell a story. You're safe here, but I need to know." Tears welled in her eyes as she confessed. The gang had branded her, a mark of ownership, before she fled. The revelation fueled Silas's resolve. He'd lived alone by choice, avoiding trouble, but this was different. The gang, led by a man named Rafe Cutler, was known for terrorizing the weak. Silas knew confronting them meant risking his life, but the thought of Clara's suffering gnawed at him. Silas spent nights planning, his cabin lit by a single lantern. He sharpened his old rifle, oiled his revolver, and mapped the gang's last known hideout. The town had ignored their crimes, too afraid to act. Silas, with his loner's stubbornness, decided he'd be the one to end it. At dawn, Silas saddled his horse, a sturdy mare named Bess, and rode toward Cutler's camp. The journey was tense, the air thick with the scent of pine and impending storm. He carried a letter in his pocket, addressed to the sheriff, detailing Clara's story and his intent. Reaching the camp, Silas found a cluster of ramshackle tents and armed men lounging by a fire. Cutler, a hulking figure with a scarred face, spotted him and laughed. "What's this, old man? Come to join us?" Silas's steely gaze silenced the jeers, his purpose clear. "I'm here for Clara," Silas declared, his voice cutting through the wind. "You marked her, and I'm here to see you pay." Cutler sneered, drawing his pistol, but Silas was ready. The standoff drew the gang's attention, a crowd forming around them. Gunfire erupted as Cutler fired first, the bullet whizzing past Silas's ear. Silas ducked, returning fire with precision honed from years on the range. Chaos ensued, men scattering as flames from the campfire spread, igniting a tent. Smoke billowed, masking the fight. Amid the fray, Silas wounded Cutler, the gang leader clutching his leg as he fell. The others hesitated, their bravado fading. Silas stood over Cutler, his rifle trained, and demanded, "Where are the others you've hurt?" Cutler spat defiance, but pain weakened his resolve. Clara's name slipped from Cutler's lips, a confession of her escape and the gang's crimes. Silas bound Cutler's hands, using rope from his saddle. The remaining gang members fled, leaving their leader behind. Silas's heart pounded, victory tempered by the violence. With Cutler in tow, Silas rode back to Dust Hollow, the letter delivered to the sheriff's office en route. Townsfolk gathered, stunned by the loner's audacity. The sheriff, roused from apathy, took Cutler into custody, promising a trial for human trafficking. News spread like wildfire. The local paper, Dust Hollow Dispatch, ran the headline, "Loner Rancher Topples Gang, Saves Maid." Silas became an overnight hero, his solitude shattered by admiration. Clara, freed from her past, thanked him with tearful gratitude. The trial drew crowds, Cutler's crimes exposed, branding, coercion, and worse. Evidence from the camp, including Clara's testimony, sealed his fate. Silas sat silently, his hat low, uncomfortable with the attention but proud of the justice served. As weeks passed, Dust Hollow changed. The gang's reign ended, and Clara found a new life, opening a small shop. Silas returned to his ranch, but the town no longer shunned him. Children waved, and neighbors brought gifts, a community forming around his deed. One afternoon, a reporter visited Silas, seeking the story behind his bravery. "Why'd you do it?" she asked. Silas shrugged, staring at the horizon. "Ain't right to let evil stand," he muttered, his gruff exterior hiding a newfound purpose. Clara visited often, bringing baked goods, a bond forming between them. Silas, once a loner, found companionship in her resilience. The burn marks faded from her back, but not from his memory, a reminder of the fight that changed them both. The headlines lingered, reprinted in papers across the state. "Ranchers' Justice" became a rallying cry, inspiring others to confront local injustices. Silas received letters of thanks, though he rarely responded, preferring the quiet of his land. One evening, a storm rolled in, mirroring the night of the confrontation. Silas stood on his porch, watching lightning split the sky. He thought of Cutler, now jailed, and the lives saved. The loner had become a legend, reluctantly. The sheriff visited, offering Silas a deputy badge. "You've earned it," he said. Silas declined, valuing his independence, but agreed to help when needed. The town respected his choice, seeing him as a guardian rather than a servant. Clara's shop thrived, her story woven into its walls. She named it New Beginnings, a tribute to Silas's intervention. Customers came for her goods and her tale, boosting Dust Hollow's economy and spirit. Years later, Silas's ranch expanded, his herd growing with help from hired hands. He remained solitary but no longer isolated, his name a symbol of courage. Clara's laughter echoed during visits, a sound he'd grown to cherish. A statue was proposed in Dust Hollow's square, honoring Silas's deed. He protested, but the town insisted, casting him in bronze with his rifle raised. The plaque read, "Silas Hart, Defender of the Defenseless." On the statue's unveiling day, Silas stood aside, hat in hand, as Clara cut the ribbon. The crowd cheered, and for once, he smiled. The loner had found a place, his legacy etched in stone and story. As dusk fell, Silas rode Bess back to the ranch, the weight of the day lifting. The burn marks on Clara's back were a memory now, replaced by hope. His life, once empty, brimmed with purpose, a quiet hero's tale. The headlines faded, but the impact endured. Dust Hollow prospered, its people united by Silas's act. The loner rancher, once a shadow, became a beacon, his name whispered with respect, a legend born from burn marks and bravery.